Without a shadow of a doubt, it's the Crockett Show in social media history. I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone. I got my man in the building, Donovan Sadiq. I got the Queen, Demetra K. And I am the 5-star general. Tonight we got the top cop in the city of Houston. My man, brand new Houston Police Department Chief of Police, Troy Fenner. He coming along in a couple of seconds. Better get the popcorn because it's going to be real. He from the hood, so you know it's going down tonight, man. Let's get ready, man. Say, man, I want to welcome you to another episode of the War Zone and tell you thank you for tuning in. You know, without you good people, we wouldn't have a show. And want to thank you for taking the time out to tune in to our show. So tonight, we're going to start it off, let Demetra give us an update on the Derek Chauvin trial. And then we'll go from there. Chief Fenner will be along in a second. And you guys, I need you to push the share button, because you get to ask the questions tonight. The top cop in the city, I done worked with him 1,000 times. Man, get down for his crown, man. So, Demetra, what's going on? I'm sorry, Donovan, what's going on?
All right. Hey, welcome to the War Zone. This is an important night because we actually get to talk to the new chief of Houston, the 4th largest city in the United States. So if you have any questions and concerns, now's the time to address them. But in the news, real quick, Joe Biden is still trying to push his $1 trillion infrastructure package, and he's reaching over to the Republicans. And it just seems to me he is now caving into what is going on in Georgia with the corporations, as the Biden administration is now kind of leaning on them, telling them basically, you could have left the thing right there in Houston, So, the Democrat Republican, what's the difference again? Because it seems like to me, when the money's involved, it doesn't matter which side of the pin you're on. So we got a lot more stuff to go into, but let's get to Demetra. What you got?
Well, hold on, D, before you go into it. I want to welcome my good friend, Dr. Abdul Halim Muhammad, Southwest Regional Minister of the Nation of Islam. Troy running a couple of seconds behind, man. He was on another Zoom call. And I want to give the floor to the good doctor because he has to pop in and pop out. What's up, my friend?
First of all, let me greet you all in green words of peace of Assalamu alaikum, which means peace be unto you. To my favorite brothers and sisters in the war zone, I thank you for this opportunity to come before the people and your audience and to bring them greetings from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam, and to urge them to please go to NOI.org and read and reread and share the official statement of the Nation of Islam regarding the Good Friday attack on the Capitol, where Noah Green was killed. The police officer, the Capitol policeman, was killed, and another one was injured. And they did the best they could, the wicked media, to make it appear as if that is the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and being a follower or a supporter of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is the root of why that happened. And we must thank the people for withholding judgment and waiting for that statement, because all that I've sent that statement to thanked us. And it is, Sister Demetra, as the book of Revelation say, that the dragon put forth a flood, but the earth swallowed the flood. The flood of propaganda was swallowed by the earth. The people, as an urban planner, one thing happens is that when you put impervious surfaces over what would normally absorb groundwater, rainwater when it comes, that often increases the flood, the velocity and the frequency of the flooding. But in this particular case, the people's hearts are softened because they know that that's not our way. We're not the aggressor. We will defend ourselves, but we're not the aggressor in word or deed. We don't carry knives. We don't carry guns. And we're not, we don't have a bad relationship with the police. Local, state, and federal all know that that is not our way. They know that. And also, The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan led us 4 times to the Capitol, bringing millions of us to the Capitol with not one fight, not one arrest, and we left the mall cleaner than when we found it. So all of this is because of the imposter Jews, hypocrites, government agents, weak Muslims, and scared to death Negroes. But the people, the little man and woman on the street, were waiting to hear from us and what we had to say about it. And once we said it, they were very happy about it. In the few moments that I have before you, again, I want to urge everyone, to take your precautions, regardless of what government says. Please wash your hands, mask up, keep your social distancing, clean, sanitize, and disinfect the areas that you touch and that you're around much, and have proper nutrition, get proper rest, and that so that your immune system is not compromised with this COVID-19 and the variant strains that are coming in the country from other places. And for God's sake, brothers and sisters, go to noi.org/vaccine and read the documentation that we offer to you about this experimental gene therapy that they call a vaccine. Under FDA regulations, when you have emergency use, brothers and sisters, it is not a vaccine. It is a drug that they have given emergency use. Now you say, well, there's no side effects or little no side effects. Okay, maybe that's the case. But remember, when they do approve a vaccine, it normally takes from 10 to 15 years. So they've come up with this miracle whip in 1 year. You're taking it, well, I'll just make my arm sore and I might have a stomach ache, a headache or something like that, but I don't feel nothing. Well, they don't know the long-term effects of it. And because this particular drug does not have the SARS virus or the COVID-19 virus in it, that's normally how you vaccinate and immunize people. You use the organism that makes you sick to build up the immune system. This is something different, brothers and sisters. They are actually coding your RNA, which is part of your DNA, which is the language of God that makes you and I unique and special. So we don't know the long-term effects of it, but everyone has to stand on their own truth. And if you believe that it's in your best interest, if you believe of people that haven't treated you right, are going to teach you right, then you go right ahead. I'll pray for you and your family. And no, you didn't grow 2 heads and 3 legs and all that when you took the vaccine, but you don't know the long-term effects. You don't even know whether or not you can still spread the virus even though you've taken the vaccine. You don't even know if you have to take the vaccine again. They don't even know how long it lasts. It's not a vaccine, brothers and sisters. And if you notice that everybody's on board, they're pushing it, the sports people, the celebrities, everybody's pushing this. And so the government's pushing it, and the media blocks out anybody that will have anything contrary to say. So dies the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion, freedom of expression, freedom to gather peacefully, to redress your grievances. The people's rights have been trampled on because they got us all scared like sheep, herding us to the slaughter. So brothers and sisters, I want you to be cautious, and I want you to be careful, and I want you to be conscious that we told you so. We love you enough to stand up for the truth and to take all the brickbat schemes and machinations of this evil, wicked government and those who hate the Nation of Islam and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for standing up for you. We'll take all of that because we love you that much. And so I want to, in the few moments that I have left, Brother Gary, and I want to thank you again for inviting me on. And I would have hoped that Chief Finner would be on, but let this stand as a record. I've worked with, and we've worked with Chief Finner since he was a lieutenant, a street cop. And he's always been a straight shooter with us. And we could take it, tell him he could take it as well as he can put it out. He's a street cop. He's streetwise. He comes up through the ranks. He has the support of the rank and file of the police, but he has earned his stars. And I say to everyone out there, give him an opportunity, because this isn't about Chief Finner. It isn't about Mayor Turner. what's being set up in the city of Houston is to make the city of Houston appear to be ungovernable, mismanaged, so that you and I, either through apathy or through our plain disgust, that we did not get out of the city what we thought a black man would deliver to the city, or black people on council would deliver to the city, that we would by default hire a Donald Trump type candidate in the next election. Now, all that's being set up. The former chief, Chief Acevedo, who we had a decent working relationship with, left us with a mic dropping statement. He said because of his frustration with the district attorney, with the judges, and with the cash bail system, that we need to prepare ourselves for 500 murders in the city of Houston in the year 2021. Brother Jerry Monroe and myself said, hell to the no. We're going to do everything we can so that there aren't 500 homicides in this city. And we're going to back Troy Finner in the good that he's going to do. And when one of his men or women act out and shame that badge in that uniform, we're going to get on him to make sure that he cleans that up. And when he does something right, we're going to back him up. We're going to congratulate him, but we're going to do our part. We're going to go to the street leaders. We're going to do the things we're going to do conflict resolution. We're going to build family, and we're going to build community life so that he can go after the real bad guys, the miscreants, the misbehaviors, the malcontents who just won't follow anybody's rules. And to that extent that we do our job and we don't treat every problem like a criminal justice problem, where there are mental health issues that need to be addressed, where there are economic issues, we need to produce economics, where there are family issues that can be settled by a pastor or by a community leader, then we need to do that so the gunplay doesn't come in. But those who want to kick in our doors, those that want to shoot up our cars, those that want to rob our establishments, those that want to terrorize our elders, those that want to traffic our children with sex trafficking, set them loose. Go get them, Troy. You and the boys and girls in blue, go get them. And let us do the other part so that we don't fill up the jails with unnecessary people that are arrested on misdemeanors and child stuff and they can't get out. Right. And that we don't let the real criminals out because of this bail system and judges that are lenient or DAs that just don't see it that way. And we're going to back Chief Finner when he sits down, whether it's in private or not, didn't have to make it public, with the district attorney, with the judiciary, with the bail system, with the sheriff, and they have a come to Jesus, come to Muhammad, come to Allah meeting about the criminal justice system and how they need to concentrate on those who are making life miserable for us. And so I wanted to make my public statement in support of Chief Finner because he has earned our respect. He's always kept her open. He returns phone calls, and I don't expect that because they gave him another star and because he's been put in that political muddy Jordan River that comes with being a police chief, that the core of the man that we know is going to change. And our prayers are with him and with those police that are going to do what's right. And our prayers are with him to get rid of those cops that are not going to do right. And we believe that he will do that and bring about reform in this city. And we're going to push him to do that. But at the same time, we're going to support him in the good that he does. And we're going to back him in making our neighborhood safe and decent places to live. I'm glad to see you, Chief, and congratulations.
Thank you, Minister. I hope I'm coming through clearly. I had to grab on my cell phone, and sorry I'm late, but to you, Monroe, and everybody else on, thank you for the support. It's something that I don't take lightly. I'm Chief Finner, but a short time, but I'm Troy Finner for my life, and my word and the relationships that I've built over many years are very important to me. So I'm so glad that, Minister, you always have been a man and great men in our community have always stood up for what's right, talked down on bad policing, and spoke up on good policing. Talked up when you needed to, when brothers are in the neighborhood committing violent crimes, but love the brothers enough to say, well, you know what? We got to throw our arms around a lot of them and help them get jobs. help them get this sense of belonging. So a lot of people don't want to talk about that. But let me say this just real quickly, how important young black brothers, strong brothers are. The story untold during the George Floyd protests was the brothers, some gang members, some hip hop brothers that were Houston proud and loved the city, tapped me on my shoulder as I was walking and say, "Hey, Chief, we got your back. We're not going to let anybody outside of Houston come in and tear our city down. We upset about this incident with Mr. Floyd and other police misconduct, but we're going to stand strong with you." And that's the kind of stories that people don't hear. But that's what I'm going to put out as chief of police, because it's true. And instead of criticizing our young brothers all the time, let's celebrate some of the good things that they do and help them out. It's only a very small percentage of brothers who really out here criminalizing and tearing up our communities. And we need to really focus in on them. Try to get them right. If they don't want to get right, we got to lock them up. So I'm appreciative of the support and my stance on reform. You know what? If it's low level, nonviolent, a brother needs treatment, he's suffering from mental illness, there's no place for them in jail. Now, I don't support us not locking up people who shooting folks. But thank y'all, and I'm glad to be here tonight.
All right, Chief, I got another call myself. There's one, you coming in the door, I'm going out the door, but I wanted to set the record straight. This is in cyberspace. This is my witness of one of the greatest cities on earth, second to none in my eyes. Even though I was born and raised in New York, I love this city. It has embraced me, my family, and the people have, and I'm willing to lay it all on the line to make sure that we don't have no 500 murders this year or any year going forward. We cannot go back to a city under siege as it was when crack cocaine come in here and we had the oil bust. You remember that, Monroe? We went from oil boom to oil bust. Crack cocaine came in, and Sue Speck on Channel 26 for our Fox News affiliate will come on every night giving these horrific statistics. And her segment was called, Demetria, was called City Under Siege. And we're not going to be a city under siege. We're not going to let the good work that has been done, or those forces who would seek to make this city seem to be a jungle or unmanageable or mismanaged, so that we by default hire a Donald Trump type as the next mayor in this city, is not going to happen. We're going to do our part. Again, thank you all. May God bless, may he keep you and all. And Sadiq, you keep it up, man. Dom, you keep it up, bro. Keep up the good work. Chief, we got you. And anytime you need us, give us a call. Monroe, take care of yourself up there. Eat right, do what's right, get enough rest, take care of yourself, and come on back here, man. We got work to do once this trial is over there in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Everyone, good night. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister.
Well, you know, my mom used to tell me, she say, God is going to let you see some things before you leave this earth. And I'm proud to say that God has allowed me to see a good kid from Harm Clark, a Madison Marlin. I ain't never really worried about him. We beat him every time we played him, but, you know, a Madison Marlin worked through the ranks and end up being the chief of police for the city of Houston. I will tell you guys, this is, you know, a lot of days we get African Americans that are voted in or placed in positions of prominence. And the first thing we say that is symbolism. This is not symbolism when you look at Troy Finner. This is hard work. This is hard work. This is somebody that's from the community, that knows the community, that has dealt with some of the issues that average people deal with in the community. And it's an honor and a pleasure, my friend, to have you on the War Zone tonight. What's going on, Chief?
Hey, Monroe, you've been in the trenches with me, man. Much respect and much love for you. Don't always agree, and you know, you and I, we don't sometimes, but we love one another, and we love the city of Houston, and we love our people. So you always have a place at my table, man, a discussion and inclusion. But thanks for having me on tonight. I'm very honored to take the lead of the Houston Police Department. Uh, it's not something that I look lightly on because I know this city. I know the people of this city, and we're going through tough times, just like most major cities are during this COVID, and our homicides are spiking up. The only thing I ask is that we all come together, and these are our communities, our children, our young men and young women. We have to come together and make sure we do everything we can, to turn the temperature down. Get out here and talk to these young men and women. And when I ride around Monroe, it's different from when you and I came up. Man, we had little league sports, we had football, we had basketball, we had baseball. COVID made it even worse, but let's not just give it all and blame it all on COVID. You know, several administrations back, when things got tough financially for the city, they killed all the youth programs and they never fully brought them back. So this is what we got to do as lay people, as community leaders, political people, activists. We got to make darn sure that there is money and programming for these young kids. And even when there's no programming, we have to reach out just as people did to us as young men and gave us a hand up. And until we do that, I don't want to hear people talking so negative about the brothers. What are we doing to help them? Now, if we're not doing enough to help them, you know what? Let's all step up and pitch in and give them a hand up.
Well, let me say this to the world out there. I met Troy under some very scrupulous circumstances one day at City Hall. That's where I met him at. And I want to tell all you good politicians, you good principals, and all y'all folks, Troy Finna saved y'all a lot of days here in Monroe. There's not too many people that I listen to. But if Troy sees something going left with me, he will pick up that phone. He will call me, Monroe, you think we got to do this? But I really appreciate the one time that I kind of went against you. I had to go in front of somebody's house at 3 in the morning. And he just kept telling me, man, can we do this at 7? Now, Troy, I want to do it at 3. But, he supports everything. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn this over. And tonight, Chief, we're going to get some questions from the audience. This is their opportunity to ask you some questions. And I'm going to turn this over to Donovan. What's going on, Donovan?
All right. Hey, Chief, great to meet you. Heard a lot of great things about you. I'm coming to you from Southern California, Riverside, Los Angeles area.
What's up, brother?
Congratulations on the promotion and all this other stuff. We got some questions in the comments. Let's just get to them because everybody's starting to gear up. Don't want you to get behind them. And we know that you are a busy person. The one question I have for you, and this is my question, is now that you are now the top cop in Houston, what is your agenda moving forward? Because as we know, coming into the office, a lot of previous problems from previous chiefs, not just Alcevedos. I mean, Alcevedos inherited stuff, were left on your desk to solve. But moving forward, in regards to those problems, what is your agenda? What do you want to do for the city and to be your legacy?
Well, the good thing about me right now, it's not like I'm coming in the city as a new outside chief. I know this community. I've been here all my life. I've been a police officer for 31 years, but I'm Troy Finner, and a lot of Acevedo, man, is really big in law enforcement, and I learned so much from him, and I love him. But he allowed me to be me, even as when I was executive assistant chief. So now I am the chief. But to answer your question, surge in crime, not only in our areas, all over Houston. And our homicide rates are high as they've been in 8 years, okay? So that's the number one thing is to work with the community to try to reduce those aggravated assaults, which could be 100 more murders and also the murders. But if you do that at the expense of I'm sorry, I think y'all still can hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah. Drawing down that crime, pushing it down at the same time, building trust. And that's so difficult because you know everybody's from the hood. The minute the crime goes up, you know what? We do what we used to call zero tolerance, all right? And you put a net, and it just, I almost said something. It makes all our people mad, the good people, okay? Because I'm in the hood, I'm coming from work, I'm not making a lot of money, I'm on the way home, and then here I get stopped. And then the police officer that stops me has an attitude and don't explain to me what's going on and writes me 5 or 6 tickets. I'm all have to drive down that crowd, that crime, have strategic ways to do it, but at the same time, you have to build that trust. So that's the challenge. That is the challenge, and it's not a complicated thing. I'm not one of those guys who are gonna come and say, "Whoa, this is a 5-point, strategy." No, it's good old fashioned policing, man. Find those individuals who causing the problems, work with the good people, respect people, put those individuals in jail, remove them from, but lift that community up. It's not all about just policing. It's about lifting up the whole social structure of a community, making sure that you advocate with corporate America. Just as I'm meeting with brothers, my first week I met with a lot of millionaires and a few billionaires because you know what I told them? I said, look, it's y'all responsibility too to help out. If we get a brother that want to come out of gang or want to come out of crime, he don't want to go and work at McDonald's. Be honest, okay? Give a brother a viable work and say, well, hey, you know what? Hey, man, I'm going to hook you up with these people. I'm going to start you at this corporation. You're going to earn a good salary, and we're going to give you a hand up like that, okay? So it's just not policing in the community. It's the whole darn community. Corporate America has to get in. So that's what I'm trying to do in my first days as chief.
Okay, and a quick follow up. Garrett from the comment says, will you have a lateral police academy class?
A lateral police academy class? We are trying to do that, where we bring in other officers from other departments who are already police officers. But we've tried to do them, but when we look at it, the numbers are really low. I'll take anybody that has a good heart and is capable of being a police officer because it's challenging right now. But I think our best bet is to really recruit in our communities. And people say, well, you know what? You need more minorities. And I don't disagree with that. We got to get into these traditionally Black colleges and minority colleges, start recruiting there. A lot of times people, especially young African-American people, they were like me. I didn't have anybody in my family that was a police officer. I really didn't know any. I went to college and I took one serial murder class, and it really piqued my interest. I didn't come up going through high school and junior high and say I'm gonna be a cop. No, I just went to that class, and then I started learning more about policing. But what I didn't know and people didn't share with me is, you know what? You're not going to become an overnight millionaire, but it's a really good job, and you can help so many people. If you come out of college and you get out the academy and you get off of probation, and you can go and work apartment security and live in a high rise for free, work an extra job that's paying you $40 and $50 an hour, you can quickly get over 6 digits the right way. But a lot of brothers, if they're not talking to somebody, they don't understand that. So we got to look at ways of really getting our young brothers. And just like so many athletes. Everybody not going to the NBA or the NFL. Only 1.6% probably is going. What about these other guys who are great athletes but need a job? Those are the people that we need to be recruiting on our police departments.
So welcome, Chief Fenner. I'm so glad that you got the job per se. So I'm actually going to ask you 2 questions, and then I see a couple of questions that are building up in the comment section. So again, if you guys have some questions you really want to ask, Donovan and I are going to ask questions. And if you can also do us a favor and share this so that everybody else can chime in and listen to the answers and things like that. All right, and so you said your top priorities are to, I guess, reduce homicide and violent crimes and build trust. Now, you talked about building trust just a little bit, but how exactly do you build trust, especially in the Black community, when we see so much police violence perpetrated on Black people, specifically with the Derek Chauvin trial going on now? We got a lot of feedback. I don't know, it's probably, okay, there we go. Especially with the Derek Chauvin trial going on. Now, from, what everybody saw on the 9 minute and 29, seconds that he was kneeling on George Floyd's neck, I mean, it's murder, right? But we're going to spend, 3 to 4 weeks playing this out in court. So how do you build trust when so much of that is going on, and yet he's still, I guess I know he's due process, but how do you build trust with Black people when Black people are continuously experiencing police brutality and the police officers are getting away with it?
Yeah. Well, what you really have to do is be truthful, okay? You're never going to hear me address an African-American or minority group of color without saying at some point during that discussion and acknowledging our pain and our suffering. When you look at the injustice that's been thrown upon us by law enforcement since day one, you have to acknowledge that, okay? But you also have to give out a few facts and put things in perspective. Because in any city, okay, you got 800,000 police officers in the United States, 18,000 police departments. The great majority of police officers do a pretty good job, especially today. But too many of them are violating people's rights. And when you have a case like Mr. Floyd's case, it amplified everything that people have been talking about. Police brutality, the death of a Black male, and then a so-called cover-up or silent blue wall where you had officers standing there, witnessed it for really, to be honest with you, it was over 9 minutes. A person kneeling on a man that's handcuffed, can't defend himself, was not resistance. That's flat out damn murder. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to anybody, but it's murder. And that officer should be treated as any other criminal. Now, he has his trial, and it's going on right now. I pray that justice is served, because Floyd deserves it, his family deserves it, but the entire nation deserves it. So it is difficult when people are, you're seeing that, and you're seeing it every day, all day. But when you sit down and have personal relationships with brothers, you don't have to, wait for them to come up to you. What about getting your butt out your police car? And just as I do, and Monroe can attest to this, I'm chief now, but I've been here for many years as executive assistant chief, lieutenant, sergeant, officer. Get your butt out the car and engage people. Hey man, what's going on? How you doing? Where you from? Where you going to school? Positive talk, and when you build those relationships here in Houston, it's amazing how strong our relationships are. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you everything is peaches and cream here. No, we have our controversial shootings and some police misconduct just like anything else. But You know when the people really begin to trust you, where when that ugly head raises up, you chop it off. You get them out of your agency. You do your investigation and you get them out of your agency. So that's how we'll do it. And it takes a while to get to that point, but it's an everyday walk and everyday work, you know. So that's what we're trying to do. And another thing, I didn't say this. We had a mayor's task force reform group a few months ago, and we're really getting to the end of it and getting ready to roll out a lot of things. But one thing that I'm going to roll out, and it's probably going to be next week, the release of body worn cameras. Okay, everybody think that, well, you know what? If you're not releasing it in a timely fashion, you're trying to hide something or whatever. Troy Fenner's policy is going to be, and I've talked to the mayor about this. You know what? It's going to get a specific date. And if it's going to be 30 days, 45 days, or whatever, that's going to be the deadline. And all officer-involved shootings, we're going to release that. And you know, I'll announce that next week because I'm still working on a few things. But you're going to see that. And when you have that transparency, true transparency, people begin to trust. And even if it's something wrong, because one thing I know for sure, guess what? Bad news don't get better with time. So the quicker we get something out there, good or bad, the better off we are with our public.
And then one last question, Donovan, so he can ask questions from the audience. So you talked a little bit too about police, community policing. How much of that is a responsibility on the people who live in the neighborhoods? Like, I don't want to say like a vigilante type of thing, but you know how you have your neighborhood watch committees and things like that. So how much of the community policing should actually be on the people in the neighborhood?
It has to be a true partnership, okay? But again, if people don't trust the police, they're not going to trust to get on side of you in any kind of program. You know, now formal programs are good, but let me tell you something. Neighborhood watch programs, they're okay. But you know what the best program is? Strong men and women with courage in their neighborhoods. And when you see something, you're going to say something. You know, now I'm all for the little formal programs, but I don't want to step aside, you know, strong, able-bodied men who are afraid to report crime. That we got to get past that, you know, because if you let it go past and you don't report it today, it's your family that's the victim tomorrow. So just strong relationships, and it's built up on trust. Because one thing we have to understand, and even with the reform stuff, you know, when we're not locking up violent criminals and we're letting them in and out of our system, it tears down the hope and the trust that people have in the system to protect them. If Troy Fenner go and shoot somebody in the middle of the street and I go in jail for 2 days and I'm right back out, what does that say to potential witnesses? Y'all don't care about us. So we got to look at it a lot of different ways.
All right, Chief, and I'm going to ask one question, and I'm going to give it over to Donovan for audience questions. What is your plan to hire better officers? As we know in this country, no matter if we want to accept it or not, the real thing about me and you is we just keep it real with each other. White supremacy has infiltrated, which has always been a part of law enforcement. What is your plan to get the white supremacy out of the Houston Police Department, as well as a better recruitment plan?
Well, Monroe, let me say this, okay? People look at the police department and think we're different from society, okay? Let me tell you something. We live in a racist nation, okay? Racism has been there. We got good folks and we got bad folks, okay? So until we root racism out of our nation, we're going to have problems rooting it out of police departments. But we can, and I understand what you're saying. Well, hey, Troy, other people don't take an oath of office. Other people don't have the authority and the power that you have to arrest people and you know, take custody of an individual. So what we're doing, and I talked about this just the other day, with the supremacy and the extreme groups, we got to make sure that our recruiting process is strong, and psychological evaluations, lie detective tests. Are we asking people, hey, do you have these thoughts? Do you have these extreme thoughts? Are you socializing with these groups? Check their social media. You know, what is it saying? So we got to look at ways that we can, because that stuff kills, you know, the trust. Okay. Now, if you have somebody that displays the racism or whatever, you got to cut that head off, get them out of your agency, send a message to everybody. That's just not going to be tolerated.
Well, here's a quick question. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I love you to death, but I'm putting you in that hot seat. Is there a white supremacy problem in the Houston Police Department?
I don't think it's a white supremacist problem that's running robust. But do you think that there's prejudiced police officers amongst our ranks with 5,300 people? Probably is. But I tell you what, you better think it and not act on it, and let Troy Fenner or our other leaders find out about it.
Okay, Chief, I got a question from Blazin 187. He says, Chief, how does the fact that Texas deciding to go ahead with evictions play into those upcoming issues and frustrations?
It plays a role. Let me tell you something, and Monroe will tell you this. I'm not one that get in a whole lot of politics, unless it's directly affecting public service. Now, let me tell you something about dirty politics that's going on right now. Extreme on both sides. Nobody can be practical and have some common sense and come up with things that's going to help the majority of people. If you to the right and I'm to the left, we enemies, and that's just stupidity, man. So a lot of bad politics, bad decisions. And you know what? But instead of asking that question, I don't know if it's a brother or sister, what are we doing as a people and mobilizing and get into those polls when we find these people that don't care about our communities, don't care about the well-being of most people, but they're elected officials? What are we doing to mobilize against them and get them out of office?
Woo, that's a good one there. And Ray Hiwer, I hope I said that right. He asks, how can the Harris County Sheriff help you be successful? And what has been the challenges working together with the Sheriff's Department? And you guys have a constable there as well. So you've got different agencies that you have to work with.
Let me tell you something, and that's a challenge in Houston, and I'm going to speak for Houston Harris County. Just in Harris County alone, there are 89 agencies, and that includes schools and constables and, you know, Metro. a terrible structure for law enforcement. But I can speak for Harris County and HPD. Ed Gonzalez, the sheriff, is a former police officer. We have a really good relationship, and we keep the communication going. We help one another out. We try to keep our policies pretty consistent with one another, because Houston, to be successful, we need Harris County. For Harris County to be successful, they need us. So we need to work together. But do I wish that there was a more of a system where police came up under a tighter leadership instead of all these individual agencies with all these individual policies and whatnot? Now, I can tell you most of the time when Houston moves in a direction, Harris County follows, or vice versa, because we the big two. So we got a pretty good relationship. Now, there are cracks in the criminal justice system, and I've been really open about that in my first couple of days in this position. How do we effectively reduce crime when we're throwing stones at one another. The police officers throwing stones at the judges throwing stones back at the DA. And you don't have a system, and nobody's winning but the violent criminals. If we're fighting, they're winning. So I said early on, and I'm going to keep with this. I don't want to be negative in public about another agency, about another arm of the criminal justice. I prefer to have some sit downs behind closed doors. Now, Monroe attested to this. Now, when you sit down with Troy Fenner, I'm going to tell you the truth, and I'm going to tell you what's on my mind. I'll be respectful, but I'm not going to bite my tongue. And this is what needs to happen in Houston, Harris County right now, because there's a backlog of criminal cases. And we're going to have to get together and say, well, you know what? How can we tackle this backlog? It may be that, you know what? Low-level, non-violent criminals or people accused of crimes, we may need to go ahead and take care of that. Adjudicate that stuff, get it out, defer it, and get them people back to work. Put them on a period where say, well, hey, you know what? If you don't violate for a year or 6 months, we just erase that. You got to be open-minded. But one thing that I'm never going to settle for is allowing violent criminals in and out, because you know who they really victimizing? Our neighborhoods. Our neighborhoods. So we got to be real careful on that.
And I have a question from the audience. You want to ask the chief, what is your position on catch and release on municipal infractions and municipal warrants?
I'm sorry. Can y'all hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. There was a lot of feedback. It seems like the question was, how do I feel about the catch and release programs? Remember what I just said. If it's low level, non-violent, you know what? We shouldn't be locking those people up. Let's try to divert them, get them some help, get them some training, and see if they can go on about their lives. Because the focus right now, because everybody has a backlog. COVID shut everything down, the courts and all that. So the crime didn't stop. People kept shooting and killing people. So we got to be smart about that as well. When we can divert or catch and release, whatever we want to refer to, a cite and release. If somebody goes to a store and they shoplift, $50, $100, a couple $100, should we waste all this time and resources of locking them up and doing? Why we can't just write them a ticket and say, hey, look, you show your butt up to court. Let the judge handle it and work out a way. You need to pay these people back. Now, if you come in and you do it again within 6 months or a year, you may need to go to jail. But we got to be smart about reform. And that's what people are talking about. Well, what if this guy was hungry and didn't have food for his kids, and he went in and shoplifted? Is that smart and sensible to put him in jail? No. Or what if he gets mad or something and curse somebody out? Why would we book somebody on a Class C disorderly conduct and that man can't get to work tomorrow? Then we tow his vehicle. Now he don't have a way to get to work. Didn't have money from the start. You think I got $300 to pay for the tow and get my car out of him? All those things, and that's what people are talking about, reform. And that's sensible reform that Chief Fenner definitely supports, okay?
All right, Chief, let me ask you this on behalf of Northeast Houston, at Homestead and Tidwell area. I got the question. Me and you spoke on this last week, matter of fact. But what is your way of addressing, cops that seem to terrorize neighborhoods for whatever the reason. Can you tell the people how they need to address that, how they can file a complaint? Because that Northeast area, that Homestead and Tidwell, is being terrorized by this one cop. I'm not going to say his name. We've already spoke about it, but give them some insight on how they can deal with that.
Okay. Yeah. Monroe, good question. If we tell people to trust us and we don't tell them the proper way to file complaints and empower them to file complaints, we do them an injustice, and we do nothing to build trust. So every police officer that's out on patrol has what? Body worn camera on him or her that's supposed to be recorded anytime they come into contact with a citizen and they're taking the police action. And that includes traffic stops, pedestrian stops, or whatnot. So if anybody is mistreating you, file the darn complaint. If you don't file the complaint, how are we gonna find out? And you say, well, Chief, y'all got body worn cameras. Do you know how many thousands of hours of tape what I was saying, there's thousands of hours of body worn cameras footage every day. So you can only audit so much. And people say, well, you know what, Chief? He had on the camera. Why y'all didn't check that? We can't audit every minute, every second of every officer's body worn camera. So if you don't complain, that could be something that's in the cloud. In the cloud, it's there, but it hadn't been reviewed by us because we don't have enough supervisors to review every minute and every second. But if you are stopped at Homestead and Tidwell on Sunday at 3 o'clock, that's all you have to do is tell us. And we're going to pull the tape. We got ways of knowing what this patrol unit that was there with Officer Fenner in there, and he stopped this vehicle. He had this, and we just review the tape. So file at any station at any time. You can go to ID down to 1200 Travis or any station. You can go to NAACP and file a complaint. You can go to LULAC and file a complaint. So there's ways to do it, but file a complaint, because if you don't, we may not know about this behavior.
Okay, hey Chief, they want to know, why can't the Houston Police Department get the Bassinet prostitution problem under control? It's been bad for over 15 years.
Prostitution on Bissonnette.
On Bissonnette, you are correct. You are correct. That's been a problem, okay? But just understand one thing. Supply and demand, just like anything else. We do things out there weekly and daily. And if we, now just understand, during COVID, we couldn't really arrest prostitutes or junks, okay? Because the jail was being filled up, and that's, they consider that low level, okay? And I, in some ways, consider it low level as well, because I want to make sure that we help these young ladies. But in that sense, but in this sense, those women are beat by pimps. They're sexually assaulted. So those are serious crimes, but we have to keep it up. Now, I want to move forward. I think instead of us, arresting the women all the time, because they are victims. I don't care what nobody say. They're out there. A lot of times they're forced to sell their bodies for sex. They are victims. I like to focus more on the Johns, those individuals that they know it's against the law. You know what? You publicly shame them. You put them on the news. You put posters up. You make it tough for them, and try to have a deterrent from them come, because if they continue to come, you arrest the women, you got 5 or 6 more of them coming every time. Every day you got more and more coming. So it's a vicious cycle, but it's just not a police problem.
And a quick follow-up, earlier in the broadcast, somebody asked, what is your stance on the Deshaun Watson case? How will you handle that? Even though, for those that don't know, it's a civil case right now, but what are you guys doing in regards to the Deshaun Watson case?
Well, with regard to Mr. Watson and anybody else, okay, if and when we get a complaint or an alleged complaint on somebody for criminal activity, we're going to investigate it, okay? We put out a statement, I think last week, I forgot if it was Thursday or last Wednesday, but we did have one woman to come in, and we are investigating that. But I want to be respectful to the potential victims and also to Mr. Watson. It needs to be investigated, and that's what we're doing right now. So.
I have a question. A couple of weeks ago, I covered a story in regards to carjacking, and specifically in Chicago, they're having this huge issue, and it sounds like it's starting to trend everywhere, but have a huge issue with carjacking, especially amongst their minors. They said that, I believe, carjacking was up like 340%, and at the time, out of the carjacking, it was 95 carjackings, and I think 25 of them were youth. So what do you think that's about, and how do we get a hold of that?
Well, look, I look at it, and I told you earlier that, this crime wave is just not tied to COVID, and it's just not a police and criminal thing. You look at, because we're experiencing that, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we're experiencing an increase of carjackings as well. And young males. I mean, some as young as 12, 13, 14 years old. Kind of unheard of. But again, guess what's closed down right now? Parks, activities for these young guys, any kind of organizations. Okay, so it's a social issue as well. Now, I'm not making excuses for them because they need to be held accountable. If you take a gun to somebody's head and steal that car, I don't care if you're 14 years old or 13 or 12 years old, you need to be held accountable. But again, we got to quickly open up activities. Get past this pandemic, we got to be safe about it. As the next couple of months pass, more people need to be vaccinated. And we hadn't spoke to that. People of color, get vaccinated, protect yourself. Okay, let me say that, and then back to your question. If the kids don't have something to do, positive activities to do, a lot of them that wouldn't be engaging in crime now are engaging in it because they don't have nothing else to do. You know what our older people would say about an idle mind is a devil's workshop. So that's what's happening with some of our young brothers. Got to help them out.
We're going to go to our last round of questions, Chief, because I need you to be fighting crime, because I know you're good at it. My last round, this is my last question to you. First of all, Coach Craig Morrow from your alma mater, Madison High School, trying to get in touch with you. You and Mary Young from TSU, they want to honor you guys. So when you get the opportunity to stop by, we want to take care of y'all and get together. This is my last question. I'm going to see if a Madison Marlin going to step up to the plate. On behalf of the Jackie Yates Line Alumni Association, and both our football programs are struggling, I'm going to put the talent out there. Chief Fenner, coach a Madison alumni basketball team against Coach Monroe from Jackie Yates Senior High School. We raise a bunch of money and divide it up and give it to the football programs from each school. Can we do that, Chief?
Hey, I'm on board, man. I'm 100 with you. All right, let's do it.
I'm gonna set it up. And the last thing, because people don't really know, Chief Fenner, along with what's the other chief that was up for the job with you?
Chief Slinker.
Yeah,
Matt Slinker.
I've worked with both these guys. We created a Bridge the Gap program. We'll bring the law enforcement officers to the schools for lunchtime to interact with the kids. My question is simple: can we get back to doing that? Because if we can get back to doing it, I think we can build that trust up.
Absolutely. Anything that we can do, and it was a wonderful program, and I want to applaud you for that, because it's just spending time with kids at lunch, and that's another thing of building relationships. It's not the time to talk and try to build relationships when there's tragedy, somebody's shot, or there's a fight out there. That ain't the time. Build the relationships in peacetime when you really speak to the heart of these young brothers and sisters. Because let me tell you something, that's what a lot of people that don't understand from the hood. Not coming to your presence. If I feel BS or just fakeness, I ain't got nothing for you, okay? And we talking. But if I feel your heart and feel your spirit, I don't care who you are, I'm gonna listen to you. And that's what we have to do as police officers. Come to people correct with our heart, not a smart mouth, not offending people. Come to people correct in a respectful way where they can feel your heart. Then you build relationships.
Well, y'all heard it first, and then I'm gonna give it to Donovan and Demetra for their last question. It's gonna be Madison versus Yates. Alumni, Chief Fenner from the Madison Marlins, Coach Monroe from JJ Lions. We're gonna get it on and raise some money for these two great institutions. Donovan, final question, my friend.
Final question, Chief. Thank you for coming on the show. And I just want to say this, and my question is this, and it's an important question. I want to know if you agree or you disagree, because police out there are taking a beating. Everybody wants to be safe. You guys are getting a bad rap because of the few bad apples that they say can end up spoiling the bunch. So would you agree with this statement? If you do not have law and order, you do not have a civilization or a city.
I totally agree with it, but law and order to some people are different to other folks, okay? Law and order has to be administered equally and consistent to all people. And everybody has to see that system as fairness. Now, some people think law and order is cracking down on certain groups. Law and order is holding everybody accountable, and nobody's above the law. So we really have to be careful in our communities to not turn against good policing, okay? Nobody wants bad policing. But when there's good policing and they're good people, honor that and celebrate that. As the same as we put down bad policing.
Final question, Ms. Demetra.
My final question, but before I do, I want to say congratulations once again on getting the position. I know you'll do great things. But during your pinning ceremony, when you officially got the job, Chief Art Acevedo said to you, "Go get it." What did he mean by that?
The last, can you say that one more time after Chief Acevedo?
He told you to go. He told you to go get it. What do you think he meant by that?
Oh, go get it. That's a saying that Chief and I always had. Go get it. Being successful and leading the department and building relationships with our community. It means a lot of things. Not just go get like criminals or anything. It's go get it. Let's lead effectively and keep it going, holding office accountable and building trust in the community. That's what go get it means with the both of us.
Well, Chief, I want to thank you, my friend, for coming on. And I want to wish you all the luck in the world. You don't need no luck because you got some of us out there that's gonna get down for you. And I think that you're gonna do great. I know the department is in good hands. I've seen him at murder scenes. I've seen him at football games. I've seen him going to church. I just see him doing what a good guy is always going to do. But the one thing, and I got a lot of cops that watch this program, you might need to start doing your job. Because if you don't start doing your job, you may not have it long. Say, Chief, we appreciate you, my brother, and you're welcome to come back anytime you get ready.
Hey, thank y'all, and my pleasure. Enjoyed it. Okay.
All right.
Everybody be safe out there. Get your shot if you hadn't got them. Peace out.
All right.
Woo! I can say this.
That's not symbolism. I can tell people that now. That is not symbolism. That's hard work, man. That's hard work. And when people think that when you think about Troy, he knows the community, he actually does. He actually does. He's serious about lowering the homicide rate. He lost 2 nephews in the last 3 to 4 years to gang violence. So he understands how important it is to make that homicide rate go down, man.
Well, I'm going to wish him all the luck in the world, because the funny thing is, when you have a representative that looks like you, so much emphasis is put on him or her being successful in their position and what they're supposed to do. Law enforcement is a very tough job, as we know, and we want him to be successful. We know he has political constraints. So, I hope that the honeymoon with him in Houston is going to be a good one, as you give him some time to make his moves and set up his regime and his establishment. We can only wish him all the luck in the world. But I'm going to say, in regards to this football thing, the brother looked like a linebacker. So I don't know, 5-star.
No. We're gonna play basketball. I actually got, a good friend of mine, the head basketball coach from Madison on there. He say he donating the first 100, Madison 100, Yay 0. I don't think gonna play out like that, because I'm finna go get me a real live Baylor Bear, Eugene Hall, 6'5", and we finna ball, man. You might have to go get Vince for this one, because I'm going to get some monsters on my side. But we gonna get together one day, and we just gonna fellowship like Madison and Yates does, and we're gonna raise some money for these football programs that are struggling, and hopefully we can include HISD in it, and we just gonna raise some money, man. That's what we gotta do. When our people get into these spots, if they good people and they gonna bust their behinds and make sure that we good, then we gotta bust our behinds and make sure that they good.
Well, it sounds like it'll be exciting. If y'all need some cheerleaders, I might try to see if I got a little something.
No, you're a little girl compared to what we're going to put on the sideline.
Are you sure?
Madison Yates cheerleaders? Oh, my God.
But they got to put the Vaseline between their thighs so they don't rub together.
Trust me.
Well, all right. Maybe they'll let me be a mascot or something. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that was a really good interview. I know we had a little bit of connection issues. That usually happens, especially with somebody as busy as the chief. They're on the go. They don't have an opportunity really to sit down at their computer and they have to use their phone. But hopefully you guys got something out of what he said. But what I really like about the chief is that he's unapologetic. A lot of times when you interview with somebody in that position, they don't want to be outright with their answers. They kind of tiptoe. Well, we gotta see and maybe. And he's like, no, he's calling a spade. And honesty is really, to me, half of it, right? Is half of the battle. So I'm looking forward to seeing, especially since, they said the crime rate, I guess it is, or homicide rate actually has gone up 44% more than last year this time. And so definitely something needs to be done, because that's outrageous.
Well, we created a Bridge the Gap program. I actually created it, and I actually got with Troy. I actually got with Chief Fenner, and we bring the cops into the school. And when I first presented it, it was like, how does this work? Well, man, just tell them coming to the school. They're gonna hang out with the kids at lunchtime. We're gonna bring in a live DJ, and we just gonna let our hair down. We're going to let the police interact with the kids, even though they got their uniforms on. And I'm telling y'all, it was highly successful. It was highly successful. And then that allowed the children to ask questions. And of course, they have this police program for youth kids in the Houston Independent School District. And it allowed kids to go and get in the program that possibly want to be cops, later on in life. So, I mean, it worked out perfect. And Al asks, is he a Shipley's or a Krispy Kreme type of man? When I go to meetings with them, I have a mandate. If it's in the morning, you gotta feed them. And I've only eaten with the Houston Police Department kolaches and Shipley donuts.
He also wants to know Battle of the Bands halftime show. Who has the better band?
I mean, if we went back in the day, you could go blow for blow with both schools. I'm a Yates Lion, but I ain't gonna disrespect Madison High School at all. I mean, we talking about James Madison High School. We talking about where Greg Kite played for the Boston Celtics came from. Won championships in the NBA. We talking about Vince Young. We talking about one of the greatest option quarterbacks to ever do the thing. And I ain't talking about Vince. I'm talking about Ronald Giles. As far as the bands, we're gonna see what we can do, with the COVID and the restrictions. And but we gonna put together something to help raise money for Coach. I think the coach at Madison right now is Narcisse, and new coach at Yates, Troy DeGar. And we're gonna raise some money for these cats, man. And we gonna have a good time. And that's all it is, man. We got a fellowship with each other. But that's in District 9, y'all. Madison High School is in District 9 where I'm running. See, I tell you, I interact with my peoples every day, man. So at the end of the day, Dimitri, you in Houston, you and Al, come on through. Make sure y'all get some hot dogs and popcorn or something. Get some fat girl shit while you're up in there.
Shit, I'm trying to be just that. Okay, I need to get back on it. That's why I was drinking this green juice. Shit, been in Houston a couple of months and it's already like, oh my God.
Well, I just want to say this in regards to the chief. Now, we always complain that, oh, we ain't got this. Black folks, we got the first black this, the first black that. Now you've got the second black police chief. The murder rate is going up there. Now that we have somebody that looks like us, I'm serious. I'm going to pray and hope that we do not let that murder rate explode or even another death happen when we got somebody that looks like us. And I'm not saying we're the only ones doing murders. I'm just saying in general, that's representing us up there to make his numbers look good. I mean, if we can't conduct ourselves and get our police, we used to say this in the military. We used to say this in the military all the time. When you didn't like your supervisor or the commanding officer, you didn't bitch and moan about him. You did a good job to promote him out of there. And that's how you got rid of him. You did a good job and got him out of there. So I'm hoping that the Houston folks, seeing that we have somebody that looks like us, that understands us, that feels for us, will now, instead of going to the gun or the knife or whatever, would be more, relaxed and handle things to where, we can get the murder rate and stuff, situated there. I mean, here's our opportunity. We always complain about it. Here's our opportunity. Let's make it look good for the city of Houston.
I mean, that job between Fenner and Slinker, Slinker's a white guy. It could have went either way, and I'd have been just as excited because I've worked with both of them. So, I mean, the thing is and I agree with everything that you just said. Okay, you got an African-American police chief. So what are we going to do to support him? You heard me and Dr. Muhammad say we're not getting to 500. It ain't going to happen on our watch. That means we got to get in them trenches. Ain't no Saturday afternoon program at the church that we talking about. We talking about walking through them war zones. It ain't going to happen. So you got to do your part. You see what I'm saying? Some of y'all think that you're doing great work. I applaud the effort, but you really ain't doing shit. You're going to have to get down and dirty if we ain't going to let this city get out of control. That's all it boils down to. But even if we'd have had Slinker, who I've worked with, white executive chief, I'd have been just as excited. So I'm not caught up in the symbolism of it. I know we got an officer who started at the very bottom as low as you could start in the department and worked himself all the way up. He deserves everything that's coming to him.
And like you said, too, it's not just on the police department. It's a joint effort. You know, you got to throw the parents in there. You got to throw, you know, like Gary said, himself and Dr. Muhammad there in the trenches. So it's a combination of things. But I think really, you know, to try to reach these parents, that's going to be huge, you know, especially in regards, you know, to the shooters or, you know, people out there really doing the crime. And a lot of them are kids or young adults. You got to get their parents involved. A lot of the parents are really just checked out, you know, and we talk about it a lot here. A lot of parents are, you know, not my baby. You know, that ain't my baby wouldn't do it. And it's like, yeah, it is your baby out there, you know, causing havoc and destruction. So got to get the parents on board, because if we don't, I mean, I don't want to say it's a futile effort, but it would be very hard to accomplish that. And so, Gary, where's the murder rate at now as far as numbers? Because you're not trying to get to 500. Where is that now?
I don't know exactly where it's at. You know, I've been out to Luke, but I know we are about 46% higher than last year. And that is ridiculous. This is what I keep telling people, that the murder rate in Northeast Houston is 54% higher than the national average. Do you understand how bad that is? So the thing is, these community, and I'm you know me, I got to step on toes, but I want to do it the right way. All of you community leaders and organizations that's out there passing out motherfucking water right now, can you do something else? Because water ain't stopping motherfuckers from killing each other, man. I'm just being straight up with y'all. I applaud the effort, but at the same time, you know, the organizations that have the insides to the politicians with the grant money, they're loading you up with money to address this very issue. Can you take a portion of the money and call in the big dogs who know how to deal with it? Can you call us in? Or can you just connect us with the politicians? So, and honestly, if we go out and do what we do and we can lower this crime rate, don't do nothing but make your friendly politician look good. We don't want the glamour that come with it. We want our people to keep breathing. We want our babies to be able to come out of the house and play in the front yard. I want my seniors to sit in their rocking chairs on their porches if that's what they choose to do. If we have a family gathering, we ain't got to worry about a white Nissan passing by and shooting up the goddamn family tent. It's time out for it, man. And some of y'all are not experts in street violence. Some of y'all are not experts in gangs, but you perpetrating like you is. And as long as you keep doing it, no matter what side you on, I'm not coming. You know why? Because I am a fucking expert. And I do know how to make the crime rate go down. Me, Dr. Muhammad, Reginald Gordon, Calandria Simpson Kemp, Stacey Rayon, Erica Albert, we know how to make the crime rate go down. Wheel and Cash. And I want you to understand something. Art Smith. Man, I just named 3rd Ward, 5th Ward, Northeast Houston, all the hot spots. We strategically placed. But we ain't moving until y'all get out the way. Man, go listen to Ludacris. Get out the way, man. And let us do what we great at doing. You see what I'm saying? And now I can get the chief to step in. This is what we need done. Yeah, he's right. We do need our parks open. But what you need in them parks, all these old shady-ass little league programs charging you $300-$400 for your kid to play. No, we need the PAL program back where kids can go to the park and they can play for free. We need our gyms in our parks open again. You see what I'm saying? When them kids ain't got nothing to do, they gonna find something to do. Y'all, if y'all cool, we'll run about 11 more minutes and get up out of here.
You know, and the reason I brought up the fact that, you know, we should make sure that he is successful, because as he was answering some of the questions, you noticed he's all for, you know, opening the schools and doing everything he can to keep these kids busy, just like you just said. But it seems to me he's also for locking them up when the people don't want to act right. You know what I mean? And that's a record as a black chief I don't want him to have, that he locked up the most folks in a city, in a major city. You know what I mean?
But we gotta be honest, man. We gotta be honest, Donovan. Some of these motherfuckers need to be locked up. Some of y'all don't know how to act, man. A motherfucker can't even go to the store and get some Cheetos no more unless y'all clowning at the gas pump. You see what I'm saying? I used to go out to the club with 3 sets of clothes in the car because I'm going to change clothes when I start sweating. A motherfucker go to the club, you got to make sure you got the bulletproof vest on now. No, some of these motherfuckers need to be locked up. And they should have been locked up last week.
You know, I'm just saying, you know, he seems like he doesn't have a problem getting people, you know, straight. You know what I mean? And I like that, you know.
He can be your partner and you violate the law to a certain degree. He gonna be your partner when he put them cuffs on your ass.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just it sucks that you would think about locking up kids, but it also sucks to know that kids are out there killing innocent people. Like Gary said, I mean, there's old folks, or, you know, seniors, rather, to be technically correct, they can't even sit outside no more. You know, and I listened to Ricky Smiley talk about it. He says when he goes to the gas station in certain areas, he said he stands there with his pistol in the air like I wish it would. He said it's just that bad in some places where you literally can't pump gas. So some of these kids, you know, want to be Billy Badass out there. I mean, what do you do with them? You know, and unfortunately, it sounds like those are the ones that keep getting out on these bonds and they're terrorizing the neighborhood. So, I mean, what else do you do?
Well, here's my thing, and I know how I am. I mean, I try to accomplish all my goals before it get dark in the city of Houston. Because once it get dark, you know, people, oh, you ain't got no gun? I got access to whatever I need. I'm not doing no talking when I get out my car at night. I don't know you, don't walk up on me. I'm youngster, I'm put that iron on your ass, man. Don't walk up on me, man. Don't do it. You're going to feel like some chicken when I put that iron in your ass. You're going to think I'm trying to get the chicken out the pot on your ass. You're going to be burning like that. I'm not finna play with you. So the thing is, if Ricky Smiley was right, but let me tell you something. When you got a voice like Ricky, when you got a voice like Jay-Z, when you got a voice like Cardi B, fuck waiting until it happens. Open your fucking mouth before it happens. They don't, Ricky, you gonna say this, and I love Ricky, you know, but I ain't hearing you saying this 2-3 years ago. The shit was getting out of hand 2-3 years ago. When you got that voice and people listen to you, it's time for you to start screaming it. So all you punk ass rappers out there with y'all bullshit, promoting that bullshit, y'all just what y'all are. Man, some of y'all women need to stop. I'd rather see y'all going crazy over Ron Isley than some of these bitch ass rappers out here nowadays. Ron Isley is 70 years old, more man than them punk motherfuckers at 22.
Almost 80. Cat Daddy.
Exactly.
With a teenage son. Go ahead, brother.
I'm just sick of the demeanor with the way they carry themselves. You know, you want to act like you're tough. You know, all this bullshit y'all do, man. And really, the reason y'all like that, because a lot of us old schoolers just stay off your asses. We ain't trying to go to jail, because all y'all gonna do is nigga whoop your ass. You gonna call the police anyway. That's all you gonna do. That's all they, ain't nothing but a bunch of Bobby Browns running around this bitch. Mr. Telephone Man. They don't do nothing. They can't take an ass whooping, so they shoot. Or if they get their ass whooped, they call the police. But I ain't initiate this shit. You know, I say it in songs. I've said it in life. I ain't the type to start drama. I'm the type to finish. So if you bring it to me, I'm going to put it on your ass, man. Because I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. I really think y'all should go home and have a talk with your kids before the motherfuckers end up in a box. If not, get the measurements of his fucking body so you'll know what size casket to buy him. Because everybody ain't playing in the streets, man.
But, you know, And they're not, you know, and a lot of people, and I've said this and I'll keep saying, I don't care if people get mad. A lot of parents are creating monsters, just horrible monsters. You have to be a monster. And Gary, you can talk about this because I'm just baffled by it. But you have to be a monster to just drive and just shoot into a park or, you know, where kids and rarely do they even hit their target. But I think that's very monstrous to just shoot into just willy-nilly and killing people. That is a created Frankenstein.
Let me tell you something. And y'all out there with these issues with your kids and they doing all this shit. You knew how to do something and then you didn't know how to do something. What the hell is he talking about? See, you knew how to fuck, but you didn't know how to raise a kid. So now we got to deal with that bullshit out there. You know, I think that every parent with a child that's under the age of 25, you should continuously have insurance on your child. I'm being straight up with y'all now. Hold on a second. I think you need to get with Tamika Jones-Motley. You need to get you some insurance on your goddamn child. Because we can't keep acting like these kids just fell out the sky. No, these are neighbors' kids, our church members' kids, the school teachers' kids. You see, you teaching in school 16, 17 hours a day. You can't be with them. You can't raise them properly, but you think that you are. So the thing is, we have to get to the point of understanding that for somebody to drive and just fire out the window into a group of people. First of all, you're the most cowardice motherfucker I ever seen in my life. See, me, I ain't never did a drive-by, Donovan. I did walk-bys. Bitch, I'm going to walk by you and serve you, man. I ain't finna drive by you. I ain't finna play them games on you. But y'all like to shoot up in crowds, and it make y'all seem like y'all some tough guys, huh? I know you hearing me talk, and it's like, oh, that old nigga don't know what he's talking about. That old nigga got 53 years on your ass. 53 years in the streets, homie. So I must know something. I'd have survived it all. But the shit that they doing, see, they so dumb. You selling dope out there, free enterprise. You done fucked up your hustle because you done brought the murder game into the building. You can't make the money that you used to make because you done made the streets too hot. You don't know how to just go sell your dope and shut your fucking mouth. And then on top of that, it's so many elements to that game. You got the girls setting up people and, you know, all this other shit y'all done brought to the game. That's why I don't respect you as hustlers. You ain't no motherfucking hustler. Demetri, I don't know if you ever sold bracelets or pencils or, you know, eraser heads or something. You ever sold that? Okay, well, that's the only motherfucking thing I would sell for $2, $3 to $7. I'm not finna be out here selling no motherfucking pills for no $7 acting like I'm a gangster. Bitch, you ain't no gangster. You just a nigga with some pills and a pistol. And guns don't kill people. People kill people. I'm all for the Second Amendment. How the fuck you think you gonna take my guns out my hand, Joe Biden? And I'm living in this society? I tell you what, Joe, won't you get your ass in a regular motherfucking limousine that ain't bulletproof and ride your punk ass through Third Ward right about now? I guarantee you, once you get from one end to the other end, you might not have no motherfucking hubcaps on your shit.
I mean, yeah, you said a word there. I'm for the Second Amendment too. I mean, we need it for protection. But Robert, how you doing? He says parents are too young and don't want to discipline their kids like they were disciplined, so they spoil the kids. They are spoiled children. I agree with you. Spoiled, don't teach kids coping skills anymore. They don't know what no sounds like. Never really have ever been told no. And then when society tells them no, then they have no coping skills and they go about it the wrong way. And, you know, young parents and even some older parents, they don't teach their kids how to go out there and get it honestly, how to hustle, how to work hard for stuff. I have a lot of kids out there just taking it. As I said earlier, you know, I covered a story about the 13 and 15-year-old girls, 13 and 15-year-old girls carjacking Uber Eats driver rather, He didn't want to give up his car. He's probably like these little girls, I'm not giving up my car. And they killed him, sped off in his car, and the car rolled over on this man and killed him. This is 13 and 15-year-old. And I believe the 15-year-old had already done some carjackings in January. So for whatever reason, she was out, out of jail and continued to do it. And so who's raising these children? That's really the question.
You can't want to fix our communities, but not address the people who are causing the problems. Y'all get what I'm saying? I'm for justice reform, but we can't keep allowing these people to do this and expect for our communities to get better. So we got to figure this shit out. And the thing is that's what I'm saying. You got too many motherfuckers gunning for too much shit. And the message is being convoluted. Because we have to live on the mesas and the Tidwells, the homesteads and the third wards, the Calumets. We got to live there, man, while you motherfuckers is playing. But you really need to have some sit downs with your kids, because you burying your children too fast. And honestly, you were not prepared to have children, no matter what age you were. If your children are out there, I can't keep blaming it on the fact that 12 and 13-year-olds have kids, because some of you 26, 27-year-olds have kids and don't raise them. PlayStation can't raise your fucking child. Some of y'all only give a fuck, well, I just need him to get across the stage. So what? So he can go to the penitentiary? You just want him to get a diploma to say he got one so you can have the motherfucking graduation pictures and the prom pictures, but you ain't putting up the penitentiary pictures. You graduating your motherfucking kids to the streets. And then, I see y'all out there put them prom pictures out every motherfucking year. But I don't see you in August, 2-3 months later, putting out them pictures of you in that motherfucking dorm room. I don't see you putting them pictures out of them going to trade school. Because all you wanted them to do was get a fucking diploma. Man, what you did is you've crippled this fucking child, man. So a lot of the shit that we see from children, Demetri and Donovan, we can't keep blaming it on them. We got to blame it on the motherfuckers that's supposed to nurture them, that's supposed to groom them. We need to blame it on these sorry-ass parents. And yes, a whole bunch of you want to be ghetto-fied, suburban living, over the top, think you better than everybody else. Negroes ain't raising your motherfucking kids.
And it ain't just the parents. We're talking about the uncles, the aunts, anybody that is around there that is supposed to help raise those children. Whenever I get a call about my nephew acting up, I don't call his daddy and say, hey, I got to call your son doing this. I go over there and start stomping some ass myself. And then I let my brother know what went down.
And that's why I said, too, when we were talking about this a couple of weeks back about the girls, and then, of course, we covered the story about the girls that killed, and her name escapes me, so forgive me, the little girl in Walmart, Melanie Lyons, Melanie Lyons, the little girl that was killed by some other little girls in Walmart. And that's why I said, and I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I think the parents should do the time with them. Especially if you know your children are out there and they're unsupervised and they go off and do stuff like that, I think you should do the time right with them.
I don't know how we could get that done. That would be a hard fix in legislation. But I mean, and I'm gonna be honest with you. If you want that done, watch this here. Don't get mad at me, y'all. Why don't you go have a sit down with some Republicans? I bet you get some shit done. My issue is that they're having babies while they're babies. They don't know how to raise a child. Their mental capacity is not where it should be. Now, what I mean is, if you're 14 and you have a baby, by the time the baby is 3 and you 17, you dropping the baby off to grandma all the motherfucking time. So at 17 years old, you revert back because your life stopped at 14 because you got pregnant and you had a child. At 17, when you can start dropping this child off to different people, you revert right back to 14 years old. You revert right back to 14 years old. They're not ready. And you motherfuckers out there, oh, I'm a me. Say, motherfucker, your child wasn't ready to have no baby. Don't you understand? You just destroyed that child's life. You just destroyed that child's life. You motherfuckers at home ain't teaching abstinence. You ain't teaching abstaining from sex. You ain't teaching safe sex. You too busy trying to get the dick yourself. You ain't teaching nothing that's worthy or even, the word I'm looking for, you ain't teaching nothing that's valuable to these children. And you're turning them loose in the school system. The school ain't nothing but the motherfucking streets. You turning them loose in the streets, thinking that they got the mental capacity to handle it. Nah, they don't. So when I see a young girl and had 2 babies during her 4-year high school career, her life over, man. Oh, I'm gonna finish college. I'm gonna do this here. Unless you got a hell of a support system, I don't see that happening. But as far as the violence amongst the boys and the girls are more violent nowadays than the boys. And I see hold on, I just saw it. Robert Hicks he says absent fathers as well in some cases. Okay, stop right there. And then I'm gonna give it to you. Absent father, right? Ain't that what we talk about, y'all? But the mother ain't absent. Mama there.
But
Come on, man. A
well,
whole bunch of us was raised by strong black women by themselves. Why is it such a struggle now?
and let me just piggyback off of what you said too, Gary. So just because a mom is there physically, that don't mean she's there. If you understand what I mean, because a lot of times people be like, well, the mom is around, but is she active? Is she actually taking part in the lives of her children like our moms used to do? Because my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And when I came home, we had stuff to do. She made sure we did our homework. We had chores to do. We went off and did sports and dance and everything you can think of. My mom was active. She wasn't just a stay-at-home mom with her feet up on the coffee table, watching soap operas, and we were just, doing whatever we wanted to do. And so there's a difference between a mom being physically present and a mom being active in the lives of her children, especially if the father isn't there. So in some cases, a present mom who is not active is just as bad as an absentee father.
I want to say this here, and I want Donovan to follow me up. Leon Mobley say, bring back sex education to school. Leon Mobley, you just said a mouthful. If you can bring my child into your motherfucking school and teach them about the LGBTQ community, why in the fuck can't you bring sex education back so these kids can be educated so they ain't catching these venereal diseases, so they understand teen pregnancies? But you want to teach them about the gay lesbian lifestyle, but you don't want to teach them about sex education. You're motherfucking right, I said it, and a fight come with it.
That's factual right there. It doesn't make, isn't it sad that everything comes down to dollars? When it comes down to dollars, they don't talk about taking corporate money. They don't talk about paying, higher taxes for those rich people that can afford it. They always go to where the average person is and the most vulnerable person in our society, which is our children and, single moms and the poor, the most vulnerable in our society. And they say, oh, we don't need vocational studies anymore. You don't need auto shop. You don't need this. You don't need that. But you damn sure better know about transgender and all this other stuff and don't teach nothing about sex education, within our schools. So yeah, we need to bring that back.
You flooding our children's mind with wickedness. You flooding our children's minds with foolishness. You want to teach them how to interact with the police. You made this curriculum. But one of the biggest issues in the United States of America, teen pregnancy, you don't want to address it on school campuses. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. Because the whole system is designed to send us to jail. The whole system, everything about it is designed to keep us poor. It's designed to send us to jail, man. You parents need to wake up. My mama name was Lula Mae Napoleon. 5'2" tall, 109 pounds at her heaviest. I didn't play with her. And she didn't play with me. Father there or father not there. She made every program at the school. She had me in after school programs like Demetria did what, that she spoke about. She encouraged me to go get a job at 14 years old, go sack groceries, go do something. But you're not finna just sit in this goddamn house. You can be a single parent and be a successful single parent. You can be a single parent and be a successful single parent. But you can also be a two-household parent and be the sorriest motherfuckers God ever created.
Yeah. Do you know what's really crazy, especially here in California? You could be a single father, a teen father here in California at 14 years old or whatever. You already started in the rears as far as California is concerned. So the system is set up, at least here in California, to where you're going to be financially responsible. If they don't care if you're in high school or not, it doesn't matter to them. So,
you shouldn't be financially responsible. You wanted to ask, pay for it.
But if we were taught, to all this stuff, we wouldn't be put in these situations to where right out of the gate, we are already in debt. When they talk about the national debt and they say every American owes 20-something thousand dollars, how are you going to put a debt on a person who had nothing to do with the decisions that were made to spend the money? But this is what they're doing to us, and we just accept it.
The other thing I will say too is this. Now, I don't have any grandchildren. I'll be 50 on Tuesday. Lord have mercy. I don't have any grandchildren yet. There's a lot of responsibilities with that. But one thing I will say is, and I've seen this as a pattern, and maybe you guys have seen it too. A lot of times when people are parents or children bring kids home, let's say they get pregnant, like you said, grandma, Mimi, or whoever they want to call themselves, Mima, they take the responsibility from the child, and then what does the child go do? The child goes back and has some more kids, and then they come back, and then Mima and Papa and all of them, they raise those kids, and then guess what? They go back and forth to keep having all these kids. And one thing I say about my mom, because Gary, my mom was like yours. She didn't take no mess. I had my daughter when I was 21, almost 22, and guess what? I raised my daughter. My mom helped when she needed to, but it wasn't going to be when you going out to the club and you leave my baby with me and you come and get her when you want to. It's like, no, you going to work, you need a babysitter. Oh, okay. Come right back and get her. So she made sure that I was a parent to my child. And so that's all I'm saying. Don't take that responsibility. Now I get it. Your children are 12, 13, 14, and they having kids. Yeah, you want to be present to mentor them and show them the right way to go. You don't want to just leave them out there. And I'm not advocating you do that. But what I'm saying is don't rob them of the responsibility, because then they'll just keep doing it. And then you have all these children running around potentially with a bunch of dads, and grandma and grandpa who have lived their life. Now they sitting up there raising your children. They don't do that to them. Let them learn.
We need a wake-up call, man. I mean, I don't know what it is about us. We love poverty. As Black people, we love poverty. We like drama. We're not raising our children. We don't value education. We got so many obstacles in front of us that a lot of these kids are brought into this world, and they're set up for failure from day one. They are set up for failure from day one. But who is the person that's setting them up? Yeah, the system is already designed for you to flunk the course. But the person that should be teaching you They ain't teaching you the basic fundamentals to survive. See, my issue is that these children don't have the basic knowledge to survive. This is why the young girls are on OnlyFans showing their ass, or they in the strip club shaking their ass. They don't have the basic skills to survive. The boys out there selling dope, or they selling their ass. Let's just get it on out there. And we've made everything so comfortable that we just don't have the balls to say, "No, you fucking up, man. You're doing this shit wrong, bro." As a parent, you're scared to even tell your child that they're doing something wrong. Some of y'all just don't get it, and I'm going to penetrate you tonight. You are not parent material. Sorry. Didn't mean to break your heart, but just because you could fuck did not make you parent material. And some of y'all just don't know how to do it. It's obvious with the way that some of y'all blew y'all money as it came in from the government. The extra food stamps, the stimulus, you on motherfucking Facebook, you buying crab legs and all that. No. It's obvious you are not parent material. So, Demetra, can I say this and then you answer this for me? If they ain't showing up to the open houses, you ain't parent material. If your child putting his foot in your ass, you ain't parent material. If you got a 5-year-old kid that make you look like a bitch in the Family Dollar, you ain't parent material. You see what I'm saying? If you got a kid running back and forth, running away from the house, coming back, running away from the house, coming back, running away from the house, you fucked up after the first time and let them back in. You ain't parent material. Demetra?
I wholeheartedly agree with you. And as I once heard, and I tell you guys this all the time, when I was raising my daughter, she wasn't even 1 yet. Her father and I were having a difference of, opinion as far as raising her. And my mom's friend told us at the time, because my daughter was bad, like spoiled. And my mom's best friend said, "You guys do not love your daughter." And we were baffled by that. She says, "You're in love with your daughter. Because when you're in love with something, you don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to make them cry. You don't want to tell them no. But when you love somebody, especially your children, you're going to tell them no and forget their feelings. Because you want to do what's best for them. Love is not always convenient. Oftentimes love is inconvenient. And a lot of times parents just don't want to inconvenience their child. You know why? Because that means they're inconvenienced. If I tell this child no, I got to deal with them crying and screaming. And then that means I'm going to have to maybe put my phone down and stop doing what I'm doing to deal with this child. And so you got to ask yourself as a parent, are you in love with your child where you don't want to break their heart or tell them no? Or do you love your child and do what's sometimes difficult to make them a better person, not just in society, but just to themselves? Those are the questions I think we need to ask.
And then another thing to think about is, would you rather break their heart and stuff in the home that they know is their home, or would you rather have society do it for you? There's an old saying, if the kids can't deal with the laws and the rules that you guys set in your own homes, how are they going to deal with society? Because that's a total different ball game. And it's funny because as a military person, I used to hear this all the time when people would ask me about the military. Well, I'm gonna send my son, to the military. He needs discipline. Stop watching these 1940 and 30 movies. The military does not teach discipline. If you can't follow directions in your own home, do you actually think the military has time to teach it to you when we got thousands of other things to do? We don't do that. And those are the people, and I hate to tell you guys, this is the reality. If you get kicked out of the military, that's worse than being an ex-felon, because that dishonorable discharge will
Exactly.
follow you for the rest of your life.
I tell you what, final thoughts, Ms. Demetra.
My final thoughts are to Miss Anastasia Overshone. I hope I said that right. How you doing, by the way? You wanted to know the books that I was holding up. I got a lot of them, but these are some of the ones that I was holding up, and I talk about these books a lot. This one is Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGruy, and she talks about why we are the way we are as Black people. We have carried a lot of stuff over from slavery to modern day, including how we raise our children. Well, some of us raise our children as if we are still on the plantation doing to our children what the massa did. And of course, Message to the Black Man in America by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. It is a must read. He tells us to do for self as Black people and stop being dependent upon everybody else. Then, of course, this is The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. He talks to us about, and this is the early 1900s, the educational system and where we went wrong and what we need to do in order to, come up from where we are. We should be more business minded and send our children to school to get the right education, not the white education. Of course, there's more to it than that. Then, of course, there's Powernomics by Dr. Claude Anderson. He talks about practicing group economics, the 5-level building of things that we need to do in order to be viable in America. Right now, he says we are a permanent underclass. Permanent means forever. Maybe we can come from under that. But if you read this book, he talks about a whole bunch of strategies we can, use in order to be better or conducive, I guess, as people. And then this one I haven't read yet, but I am, pretty well versed on Marcus Garvey. It's called Negro with a Hat, and it talks about the life of Marcus Garvey. You guys know that he was trying to take us back to Africa in the early 1800s. He says America is not for us, but he had a whole host of things going to UNIA, Black businesses. He had the Black Star Line Express, a big cargo ship, a whole host of things. He had 3 to 6 million Black people ready to go back to Africa in 1920 or so, before phones, TV, internet, and all of that. So if Marcus Garvey can do it without all of that, surely we can do it with everything that we have. And so that's just some of the things that I've read and are reading.
And I just like to say, for those of you guys that aren't aware, Alcee Hastings, representative in Florida, died yesterday at the age of 84. He was a former federal judge that was removed from the judgeship for corruption, came in 1993, and has literally sat in office for over 30 years and accomplished absolutely nothing for Black people. If you do not believe me, go look up his record. But this is what I want to say in regards to Alcee Hastings, Maxine Waters, Sheila Jackson Lee. All of these people came in at about the same time, okay? They literally are going to sit on those damn seats until you have to carry them out. And that is exactly what is happening. Look at your neighborhoods, just like the chief said here tonight. You can't put everything on the police and expect the police to, be the doctor, the judge, and all this other stuff. They can only do what the legislators allow them to do by law. So we have to start electing people that is actually going to do something in our communities. Change the laws, whatever we're going to do. Until you do that, you're literally going to be taking these representatives that have done nothing for you. Look at their legislation, look at their 30-year record, or just look out your front door. If your neighborhood looks like shit, it ain't the politician's fault. It ain't the police's fault. It's your fault because you keep voting for your own oppression.
I don't like a lot of decisions that Mayor Turner makes, but I will give him credit. You got this one right with Troy Finner. You got this one right. If he'd have picked Slinkard, he'd have got it right. He was in a no-lose situation. But I think you got it right. I think that for a kid that grew up not wanting, didn't even know if he wanted to be a cop. He had no clue that he would be a cop. That's not something that he wanted to do. I think he turned out pretty good. As far as y'all out there, it's time for us to wake up, man. I don't need no politician to tell me what to do. I don't need you to tell me how to vote. I don't need you to tell me to take no vaccine. I don't need you to tell me nothing. I'm woke and I can take care of myself. And y'all need to wake up and start making your own decisions and stop falling behind these people. Because if these people are telling you certain things about certain things, then you're going to have to start believing. I'm just letting you know. These folk are saying things to line their pockets. And if you don't start using your own brain, you're going to lose everything you got. You're going to lose everything you got. So keep your eyes open and stay on top of the game. That's it for me. I can tell you that. Say, man, it's a reason why we the best in the building. They call us the war zone, baby. I want to thank my good friend, Donovan Sadiq, the Queen, Demetra K, and I am the 5-star general. Until tomorrow night, we'll holler at you. And all you criminals, we ain't getting the 500. The streets got something to say. We'll holler at y'all tomorrow, man.